Good morning, and welcome to worship. Oh, say it again. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Welcome to worship at the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Shelter Rock. I'm the Reverend Dr. Natalie Fenimore. I'm joined in ministry here by the Reverend David Carl Olson, who is not here today, but we will see him next week. And today's worship associate is Iris McKenna. Thank you, Iris. Whether you are a visitor, a newcomer, or a longtime member, you are welcome here. Wherever you are in your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. In this community of seekers, we value diversity and embrace the wisdom found in all faiths and cultures of the world. We use our minds and open hearts to explore the meaning and mystery of life. To learn more about Unitarian Universalism and this congregation, please feel free to drop by our welcome desk in the lobby or to visit our website. Now I'd like to issue some information and invitations to you. Information. I want to congratulate the Social Justice Committee. They raised over $800 last night for the Port Washington Immigrant Support Community, and they had a lot of fun doing it with the Fourth Friday. With the Fourth Friday karaoke and international potluck. I heard that the food was great, so look for that next time. Our next Fourth Friday is October 24th, and we'll be Finding Your Faith film event. Please join the UUCSR Respectful Relationships team on Saturday, October 4th at 9:30 for breakfast to begin workshops on having difficult conversations and moving toward repair, led by Aisha Hauser. This is the last Sunday of our school supply drive, but if you've forgotten and it's in your kitchen, please call the office about dropping it off during the week. And as always, each Sunday after worship, lunch is served in the social hall and there's a small fee, but if you're our visitor, you are our guest, all are welcome. And now Iris will light our chalice.
We light our chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, with these words by Deborah Falk. A chalice lit in our midst is a symbol of our liberal faith. A faith built on the foundations of freedom, reason, and welcome. A faith sustained by acts of kindness and justice. A faith that envisions a world flourishing with equality for all people. A faith that demands the living out of goodness. A faith that requires thoughtfulness. a faith of wholeness. This tiny flame is the symbol of the spark of all this that is within each of us. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing the opening hymn, number 360, found in your gray hymnal. Here we have gathered. Please remain standing for our words of affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need. This do we affirm and covenant with each other. Please be seated. Each Sunday, we share an opportunity toward living our Unitarian Universalist values in the world by acts of generosity to bring positive change. The month of September, we're dedicated to strengthening the ABBA School Supply Drive. ABBA, Able Body of Believers Alliance, begins its 20th year of providing backpacks, filled with school supplies for less fortunate students in Hempstead and its surrounding neighbors. Book bags and school supplies are an investment in helping future generations of children break the cycle of poverty. Please help us by making a generous donation to this worthwhile endeavor. If you have donations in kind, please be reminded that the supply bin will be in the lobby until this Tuesday, September 30th. So if it's in your kitchen and you need to drop it off later, Tuesdays are your last opportunity. There are many ways to give, as you can see on the screen and in your order of service. And if you need help technologically, you can also do it old school and make a donation in the donation box out in the lobby with cash or checks.
So I now invite you into a moment of silence, meditation, or prayer. These are the words of Frederick Gillis. Spirit of community, in which we share and find strength and common purpose, we turn our minds and hearts toward one another, seeking to bring into our circle of concern all who need our love and support. Those who are ill, those who are in pain, either in body or spirit, those who are lonely, those who have been wronged. We are part of the web of life that makes us one with all humanity, one with all the universe. We are grateful for the miracle of consciousness that we share, the consciousness that gives us the power to remember, to love, to care. I now invite you, if you're so moved, to light a candle of joy or sorrow, of memory or hope. seated as we sing hymn number 318 in the Great Hymnal, We Would Be One. These are words spoken in the last week about free speech. These are the words of Republican Senator from Texas, Ted Cruz. If the government gets in the business of saying, we don't like what you have said, we're going to ban you from the airwaves if you don't say what we like, that will end up bad for conservatives. Allow free speech. These are the words of conservative commentator Tucker Carlson. Consider what it means if you don't respect free speech, which is another way of saying free conscience. The right of other people to make up their own minds about the basic questions of what is right and what is wrong, and to express their views on these issues. If you don't respect the right of other people to do that, if you take steps to prevent them from doing that, what are you really saying? You're saying that I don't think you have a soul. Thank you to the choir. They're beautiful. Unitarian Universalism values the democratic process, but no, our faith does not dictate a particular way to participate in our political system. But we have found that our own faith tradition works best when we use the democratic process. Democratic processes in our congregations include voting, open forums and discussions, and also, paramount, the freedom of conscience, the freedom of inquiry, the freedom of speech. Neither I, as minister, or the wonderful Amy Villa-Ripley, as congregational president, tells you what to think or say in this community. We do, of course, hope to inform you, perhaps inspire you to make sense of things that we say and do here. We do hope that you listen and that you allow your leaders to be leaders. And Amy and I hope that you yourself become leaders here, because we need something from you to move us forward. But it would be dishonest to say that Unitarian Universalism, writ large, always welcomed all voices. Like the society in which we live, the society that exists around us, there has been a long struggle for inclusion of different voices in our congregations. In so many faith traditions, the speech of women has been policed. Many have been victimized by the words of St. Paul. In Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, he wrote, "Women should remain silent in the churches. They are not allowed to speak, but must be in submission as the law says." In the first letter to Timothy, Paul writes, "I do not permit a woman to teach or to assume authority over a man. She must be quiet." Our tradition has long rejected any subservient position for women, any silencing of women. Our history has recognized female leadership. In 1863, Olympia Brown became the first woman in the U.S. ordained by any denomination. She was ordained by the Universalists. It is a point of pride that our faith tradition opened the door for the ordination of women, that we recognized the ability of women to speak and to lead. But although Olympia Brown was ordained in 1863, by 1870, only 5 women sought Unitarian or Universalist ministry, while there were 600 men. In 1890, there were 70 women, but often those women were the wives of ministers and were not in ministry themselves alone. As Cynthia Grant Tucker has written, historically, while their unique access to full ordination set Unitarian and Universalist women apart from others on paper, they nevertheless shared much of the same frustration and anger at being cut off from centers of influence as their evangelical sisters, who were refused a place in the ministry outright. Despite the theological differences from mainline Christianity, despite the early ordination of women, it is still the case that from time to time, there is a concern about too many women in leadership in Unitarian Universalist institutions. It is only in the last 2 Unitarian Universalist Association presidential elections where women were elected, although the first woman to run for UUA president ran in 1985. With the majority now, 51% of UU ministers now being women, there are still congregations that vigorously compete for male ministers. For some, the male voice is what is authoritative. Our congregations have also been challenged to include the voices, experiences, and leadership of Black people and people of color. Like women, these are people who were historically seen as outside of the leadership pool. In the words of Mark Morrison Reed, in light of the early Unitarian influence to spread liberal Christianity, even among others like themselves, their disinclination to do mission work except through the Society for the Propagation of the Gospel among Indians and others in North America, their belief that the Negro was innately inferior meant that there was a wide gulf to cross between the early history of exclusion of Black and brown people in Unitarian Universalism and the more welcoming environment of today. And to speak of welcoming, in 1970, the General Assembly passed a resolution to end discrimination against homosexuals and bisexuals. But the official Welcoming Congregation Handbook was not launched until 1990. Welcoming, being a kind of code for LGBTQ plus friendly, it can sometimes actually result in the invisibility of LGBTQ plus people. When you don't clearly identify who you are inviting, no one may recognize the invitation. If it doesn't have the names on the envelope of the invitation, you may not recognize it's for you. If you don't hear your name, your identity being spoken, being recognized, if you don't understand that you're being invited to have a voice, to speak your truth, then you may miss the open door, the welcome. At UUCSR, there's a group that clearly identifies itself: lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, plus. The current door to be opened, the current invitation to be offered, is to the transgender community. In this congregation, we have transgender children and youth. It's a scary time for them. There's a lot of hate speech being aimed at them. There are laws being put in place to deny families access to medical advice and treatment for their transgender child. Each person should have the right to speak to their doctor about options for their care. Each person should have bodily autonomy. Each person should have the right to live in safety and peace. It's taken hundreds of years for Unitarian Universalism to embrace the voices of all the identities in this room, much less the wider community, the wider humanity of which we are a part. We can now say that more of us can lead the way and speak the word. But yet, not all of us. Perhaps there can still be barriers in our community, barriers of language itself, as our congregations struggle with ministry to non-English speakers, ministry to the deaf. We are still not fully accessible even here in this building that's not so old, but not fully accessible. There are still physical barriers to those without sight, those who use wheelchairs or walkers or canes. We are not always in good relationship with those who have mental health struggles. We might not be able to well support those with addictions or children with autism or developmental delays. And our congregation can feel unwelcoming to those who are working class or poor. Their voices are often missing in our conversations. Can we open our ears and our hearts to these voices? Can we make a place for this speech to be free and open? I know we're trying to be ever more inclusive. I know that. And I know that it takes longer than any of us would want, and it's harder than we hope it will be to change our institutions and to change ourselves. When you called me to be minister in this congregation, part of our covenant was that I was given freedom of the pulpit. I was given the right to speak to you in my voice with my truth according to my conscience for our common good. And we also agreed that this is a place where each of you can speak your minds. Each of you can speak your truth according to your conscience and for the common good. But I would ask you to remember this when you speak to one another. Is it true? Is it kind? Does it help? Is it for the common good? In this moment, we must champion freedom of speech, freedom of expression in this congregation, in this community, in this nation, in this world. It is necessary. But we must also defend ourselves against hate speech. There is a difference between speech which challenges, which is uncomfortable, perhaps even confrontational. There's a difference between that and speech which causes or advocates violence or hatred. We cannot stand for speech which dehumanizes and targets individuals and groups. I must confess, I am not a free speech absolutist. I can remember when I was much younger, when the American Civil Liberties Union supported the right of neo-Nazis to march through the Jewish neighborhoods of Skokie, Illinois. It was 1977, and I was living in the Chicago area where Skokie is. There was no way I could support that anti-Semitic action. This Nazi march was planned to be hurtful and provocative. This march was meant to deny the right of Jews to live in peace and security in their own country. My own family had left Alabama because they had no safety, security, or opportunity to prosper in the American South. I understood the intimidation that the Jewish community in Skokie was being asked to endure. The Jewish community was being asked to endure pain in the name of freedom of speech. And I could not and cannot condone that kind of sacrifice for anyone, individually or as a group. Luckily, after a full year of legal challenges, the Nazi march in Skokie did not take place as planned. Still, like the later march that did take place in Charlottesburg, Virginia, the community was traumatized. I can, intellectually, understand that some of us, perhaps many of us, will have to endure pain in order for the freedom of speech to continue. Emotionally, I cannot understand it. And some, many perhaps, may have to endure real pain and fear, not like Jimmy Kimmel, a rich man with career options and famous friends, but real pain and fear felt by marginalized communities religious minorities, immigrants, and refugees. We must remember that we also have freedom of speech. We must use our voices and our actions to put forward our beliefs, our values. We must use our voices to proclaim that all people should be seen as holy and blessed, that there should be peace and safety for all communities living in this country and in this world. There is no space for hateful prejudice. There is no space for violence. There is no space for anti-Semitism. In the words of Barbara Merritt, Unitarian Universalists have said for centuries that there is room in our religion for all seekers, for skeptics and poets and scientists. They are welcomed here, as are nonconformists and shy and uncertain folk. We believe that restlessness and doubts are signs of grace, that the love of truth is the holiest of gifts. So may it be. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 298 in the green hymnal, Wake Now My Senses. Closing, the words of Mark Bellatini: go in peace, live simply and gently at home in yourself, act justly, speak justly, remember the depth of your own compassion, forget not your power in the days of your powerlessness. We extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please be seated for the postlude.